Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and the Gygaxian Narrative Engine, which is, the beautiful ability for a dungeon master to use story to transform the lives of dungeon players, 1 to 4. And how the Gygaxian Narrative Engine, colloquially known as Dungeons & Dragons, has far surpassed the screen, and why it surpasses the screen. So the screen, let's define it. It's the big and the small screen. And frankly, you could say what you want. You come at me in the comments. It's American screen, right? Like, the reality is, tell me if I'm wrong, right? I think American television is watched more than every single movie industry and television industry of every other country combined. You're not even touching the American blockbuster yet, right? You're not even touching to the American big screen. Just the American small screen has far surpassed all other small screen international combined. Tell me for 1 second if you think I'm wrong. I'm not, right? Like, it's like there's probably 3 shows that outweigh the entire 3 American shows that outweigh the entire international. What's my favorite French show? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not sure I've ever watched a French show in my life. Come on, So we're talking American screen, American big screen, American small screen. Okay, these are the greatest. These are the most far-reaching narrative engines that have ever been developed by humankind, and they were developed by one source, Hollywood. Okay, and Hollywood is the reason why the big screen and the small screen are far surpassed by Gygax's narrative engine, colloquially known as Dungeons & Dragons. So a dungeon master can come in and custom craft a story for 1 to 4 players. The world can be built for them, and then it can be made so that it meets every expectation they have, it meets every need they have, and it meets all of their safety needs, just from the swift and adaptable intellect of the dungeon master. And because the dungeon master crafts it with no need to adhere to a budget, right? But Hollywood does its best work when it is outrageously expensive, right? Hollywood doesn't do great on a budget, right? They have done much, much better. Blumhouse has one genre where they can crush it on a small budget, right? Horror movies are done really well on a small budget. All other genres, and particularly the biggest hitting genres, superheroes, are not done well on a small budget, right? Bright? I don't know. Right? So why does Gary Gygax's narrative engine, colloquially known as Dungeons & Dragons, surpass the American big screen and the American small screen combined? Well, here's why. The biggest reason is Hollywood values. Hollywood is having a very, very hard time today, and the reason why is they've reached a point where for a long time, they have put forward incredible narratives in front of the American public. And then, frankly, again, this is just my opinion. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But the rest of the international world has followed American tastes, right, when it comes to media. And the reason why I say this is there's no international show in the world that all Americans know. But Friends is watched on, I think, Friends has been watched in every country on the planet, right? And probably by 1,000 people plus. In more languages than there are people who learned English to watch Friends, or learned English by watching Friends, right? Like the power of just that one show, right? And it doesn't swing back, right? Americans don't. There's no like international show that all Americans. Oh yeah, we love that, right? Like it doesn't happen, right? And please show me the show if I'm wrong, right? All right. So basically, the reason why is Hollywood has reached a point where their narrative is really, really secondary. And I don't know when they got this idea or how they got this idea, but Hollywood at this point is just like, well, we'd love to tell you a good story, but we really have a message for you, right? And so basically Hollywood has 5 values now that they desperately want the world to know. And they have taken narrative and laid it on an altar and cut it open and let it bleed to death so that message could burst out of the chest of that thing and Hollywood message could be preeminent. What are the 5 Hollywood values? I have a mnemonic to help remember them. So autonomous evil fuels beautiful truth, right? So individual into autonomy. The needs of the one outneed the needs of the many. And once we identify, project, and decide, the rest of culture needs to wrap to the desires of the one, right? So that individual autonomy, maximum individual autonomy, dying the wool Hollywood value, right? Evil, none. There is no evil. There are no evil acts. There are no evil people. Evil does not exist. Okay? Autonomous evil. Fuels. Anti-fossil fuels. Hollywood, it is viciously anti-fossil fuel, right? We're incredibly blessed. We have a reserve of 400 years of fossil fuels. Even 20 years ago, there were scientists saying we would run out of oil within years, right? Within less than a decade. And now we have a 400-year reserve, right? We could run the cars we have right now. We could, fuel our houses, everything we need. It's all taken care of by fossil fuels, right? And Hollywood is vehemently against another coal stone, another bit of gas, any oil being burned, right? Incredibly anti-fossil fuel. And then beauty justifies. This is the core highest Hollywood value. Beauty justifies everything, right? And last is truth. Truth all. Everyone's belief is their truth. And there is no objective truth. There is only the truth held by each person. Whatever you believe is your truth. Truth is truth. Truth is truth, right? If it's believed by one person, it's truth, right? Those are the Hollywood values. And so it has been incredibly easy for Dungeons and Dragons to pass to pass the American big screen and the American small screen, because they no longer tell stories. They only carry message. And if the message varied, it could be interesting, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Very, very, every now and then, I would say 1 to 5% of all Hollywood content varies, but the vast majority of the time, it's always the same message, the same people, the same, values being put forward, and it's getting old, right? And so until Hollywood can resurrect the narrative and allow themselves to stop putting message over narrative, the Dungeons and Dragons will continue to surpass the screen, the American big screen and the American small screen, as a useful tool for using story to transform people, right? Right now, Hollywood stuff is just stale. Everybody's heard what they've had to say for 10 years, and the message hasn't changed, right? That's my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.